I want to show you what we're watching for the upcoming week, where we could see development and in some different spots, plus Hurricane Kiko out there in the eastern and central Pacific, the winds inside of that. I'll have that in this video. Now, these are the three spots in particular we're monitoring. This is that tropical disturbance that was looking like it would develop, but it has really fallen apart. But that is going to bring us some additional rain, and we continue to keep an eye on it. I watch everything start to finish, and then watching the Western Caribbean, we've seen a buildup of some of the rain, and then swinging back here, northern Bahamas, southeast U.S., there could be some development in about 6, 7, 8 days. So we're going to also monitor that. I expect mid to late September to be more active, and we are getting closer to that period. What's going to happen is there's going to be more moisture in the atmosphere. Right now, there's pockets of dry air, and you see it here in the dry air tracker. This big pocket of dry air that is kind of eating at that tropical disturbance that we've been tracking the last several days. But with that said, mid to late month, you get these pulses and kind of periods in the atmosphere in which sometimes it's drier, sometimes there's more moisture. And we're going to see a lot more moisture in the atmosphere. That would make things more conducive for development. So we need to watch things closely as we go forward, especially later this month. And again, we're getting closer to mid-month, so monitoring the activity and never losing sight close to home. We've had areas of rain, even by the Turks and Caicos, southern Bahamas from overnight. South of Jamaica, some rain. We've had a couple showers and storms around the overnight, watching parts of Honduras, and then near Guadeloupe, Martinique, Dominica, we've had some areas of rain and some thunderstorms. Now, a concern for some of those spots that I was circling near the southeast U.S., back through the Western Caribbean, is the heat content, right? Not only is the water warm, I'll show you those water temperatures in a second, but the warm water goes down very far. So if even a weak tropical wave kind of passes by, or eventually a weaker tropical storm, if it slides into the Caribbean, the Bahamas, the Gulf, it runs over these areas of high heat content, that could help it to rapidly intensify. And that will be a concern once we start to see a little bit more development. You see the water temperatures, they're all always warm this time of year, but the bigger concern is what I just showed you. That warm water goes down far, because as a system goes over the water, it churns up more water, and usually way down below it's cooler water, and these systems, like the warm water, that's the fuel. But those areas of high heat content, as it moves over those areas, it just churns up more warm water and just really feeds these systems. So we need to watch, especially as the models are hinting at a little development near the Bahamas and southeast U.S. and in the Western Caribbean, and of course watching the tropical waves that will start to roll off in earnest, roll off in a bigger way later this month. So here's what's going on. You see not much with that tropical disturbance we've been watching the last 2 days, really a tropical wave kind of hanging with it there with some moisture. Keeping an eye on some of the rain building here and the rain building here. And these are the areas that I circled. Now let's just go out in time as we work our way into the week, as we watch these areas for the week ahead. So ticking ahead, this here is by Tuesday. Now that tropical disturbance will start to slide in near the northeastern Caribbean. It will bump up our rain chance Tuesday and Wednesday, even Wednesday back through Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Still the activity near the southeast coast of the U.S., watching the Western Caribbean, and then the models as we work our way into mid-month are starting to develop some of those waves. But you know I don't just watch the models, I really watch the environment. Computer models can be far off for various reasons, but they're used kind of as a guide. Now as we work our way into Friday of the upcoming week, you see the extra rain here with that tropical disturbance moving in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and rain building in the Western Caribbean. And you can see all of this moisture around. So this here is a week from now. This is what we're going to really be watching as we go forward. The models are hinting at a little development from both of these spots, and they're close to home. Not to say, let's put it this way, there's a low chance of development, right? But the chance of development is there. So watching the Western Caribbean, Jamaica back through Belize to see if anything kind of lifts up toward the Gulf, and watching near the southeast coast of the U.S., watching over toward the Carolinas. And then as we work our way into mid-month, this is what I was talking about. These tropical waves are going to come off, but those dry pockets may not necessarily be there mid to late month, which means there's a higher chance that some of those tropical waves will develop. Not that they're going to come at us in the Caribbean, right? If they do develop, maybe they'll swing up toward the north. We'll see. But I'll be watching those steering conditions as we go forward. But you can see the spots that we need to watch as we go through the week ahead, especially since they're close to home. Now, we've been watching some of the showers and storms from overnight. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, we've had some showers and storms around as well. As we go throughout the day, we'll monitor that. And then you see that rain kind of building back. Spotty Belize, Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, a little bit heavier Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, parts of Honduras, down through Costa Rica and Panama. Again, some of that rain and watching northern Columbia. Then as we work our way into tomorrow, scattered areas of rain and storms around, still active in some of the same spots. But let me show you what happens as we get into Tuesday. That tropical disturbance that really fell apart starts to get closer. So Antigua, Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Bart's, and Anguilla back through the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Eventually by midweek, we'll see that rain chance going up. You see her by Wednesday. Rain chance starting to build with that tropical disturbance moving in, and then you see the Western Caribbean staying kind of active with some extra rain. Same thing back through the Bahamas, north up through the Carolinas, watching over toward Florida, Georgia, and these are the areas we'll monitor for development. And what sometimes happens is you have these spots that have been kind of active with rain, but you get these tropical waves that move in, and sometimes they enhance what's going on, and then we need to watch out for some development, and that's what we'll be watching as we go over the next several days. Now take a look at this. This is a powerful hurricane. This right here winds at 120-25 miles per hour, so that's about 195 to about 201 kilometers an hour. So it's going to weaken though. This is Hawaii, so as we work our way into the central Pacific, it will be weakening, but Tuesday into Wednesday, we could get brushed by some of those outer bands. The swells are going to start to work in for today. The seas are going to be dangerous, and those seas and swells and rip current risk will really be with us as we work our way into Monday into Wednesday. And then by Thursday, you see this area kind of lifting up to the north. Now, if that stays on track, that would keep the heaviest weather just to the north. But again, a very alarming system right now with those winds that are right around 120, 125 miles per hour. But it is going to weaken. It's going to run into some wind shear and some cooler air. Again, wind shear above our heads knocks off some of the thunderstorm tops. But here's Hawaii, here's the Big Island, and you see as we work our way into Tuesday, this would be very early on Tuesday based on the time difference, but you can see the gustier winds here. Tropical storm winds should be just to the north of the Big Island, and then weakening further. But if there's any shift to the south, that could bring some tropical storm conditions Tuesday into Wednesday, and we'll monitor that as this area, Kiko, continues to work its way, and then by the time we get into Thursday, it will start to push away. So we'll just see how close some of those rain bands will get. The seas are obviously going to be the big issue with those swells that will be working in today. So a major hurricane now, then it will be not a major hurricane, but still a hurricane, but there'll be that weakening trend. But any shift to the south could bring in some tropical storm conditions. Models are tightly clustered, which means they're in pretty good agreement, keeping the bulk of this just to the north of the Hawaiian Islands, but we'll be watching for any jogs to the south. But more importantly, the weakening trend out of this. You see, this is 1 day out, 2 days out, 3 days out. All of the models have this going from a hurricane back down to a tropical storm just over the next 3 days, just as it approaches Hawaii. Now, watching some big areas of rain and storms, parts of New England, some severe weather yesterday, a lot of tornado warnings. Watching down here, this is that cluster near the Bahamas, back through Florida, up through the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Watching out just to monitor. There's going to be a lot of fronts in here, that leftover moisture. That's what I'll be watching to see if it does develop. And then you see some of that rain that tries to push back toward the Avalon Peninsula, Newfoundland, so a little bit more active. Prince Edward Island, south through Cape Cod, back through the southeast U.S. Here comes the next system as we work our way into the week. And another one passing by the Great Lakes as you swing back from Manitoba, back through Ontario and Quebec. And there's that blob of rain just kind of hugging the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina. And then deeper into the week, we'll see if anything does try to spin up near the Bahamas, Florida, back through the Carolinas and Georgia and Bermuda. We'll just monitor how close some of these rain and storms are getting. Now the seas are going to pick up a bit. Gulf Caribbean, not bad, but just as this tropical disturbance slides in and that tropical wave really slides in, that's going to help those seas become more elevated. So as we work our way into Tuesday, the Atlantic passageways are going to be a little bit rougher, and of course southeast U.S. and north of the northern Bahamas, that's where those seas are going to be building with those old fronts and that extra rain that will be hanging by. And you see it right here. Look at all the rain watching Freeport back through South Florida, swinging up through the coast. We'll see some spots that get several inches of rain, 4 or 5 inches of rain, or 100 to 125 millimeters of some of that rain. Spotty storms, Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica will still have some scattered storms around the next few days. Put your location, what you got going on. Cayman Islands, we could get brushed by some of those as well. But this here, watching out for some bigger storms that will be possible, even back through Puerto Rico, where we'll have some spots. If you get some thunderstorms, in one of the storms, we could get 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain. So scattered storms, Puerto Rico, British and U.S. Virgin Islands. We've had some hit or miss rain from overnight and this morning already near Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe. Some of that will feed in, but we'll see that tropical disturbance moving in by Tuesday. So our rain chance is going to get a little bit higher. We'll get some spots around 25 millimeters of rain, Saba, Statia, St. Kitts and Nevis, back through Antigua, Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Bart's. Swinging back through here, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, some passing showers possible. Same thing as we work our way through Suriname, Guyana, northern Venezuela, but these are some of the big totals. Some spots, not a lot. That's how it goes in Panama and Costa Rica. Others absolutely getting dumped on with some spots of 150 millimeters of some rain. Monitoring Guatemala and El Salvador, and scattered areas of rain will be possible. Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, Honduras, we've had some of that overnight. Watching Nicaragua, San Andres, and Providencia as well. As we swing back toward western Mexico, some heavy rain, even as you get over toward Monterrey. And watching South Texas, better chance of some of that rain feeding in. Heads up on some of that moisture that will be around, where we could get a couple inches of rain. And then we'll see how close some of this rain gets. You see over toward Jacksonville north up through the Outer Banks to North Carolina. Some of the rain may be just offshore, but if it's close enough, say coastal sections of South Carolina and North Carolina, we could get a few inches over the next few days. So we stay active in Jamaica. It doesn't mean all of us get rain, but our rain chance, we're looking at about a 50 to 60% chance the next few days, and even scattered about through the Cayman Islands, we're going to have a 40% chance. As we swing back to Trinidad and Tobago, we're not looking at a washout, but staying active. Some of that moisture pulls in, so scattered areas of rain. As we work our way back through Barbados the next 2 days, a little more isolated, a 30% chance, 40% chance today in St. Lucia, and a 30% chance for tomorrow. Grenada, rain chance 50 to 60% for today. Some of that moisture near Trinidad and Tobago will be nearby in Grenada. Even St. Vincent and the Grenadines favoring southern islands for the day ahead. 40% chance in Martinique. Some of that has already panned out from overnight. We've had some of that rain around. The rest of the day, as we get through the afternoon, Dominica, about a 30 to 40% chance. Same thing in Guadeloupe. And I've been watching those showers nearby from this morning, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let me know in the comments how you're doing. Antigua, Barbuda, by Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when the rain chance will get a little bit higher with that next tropical wave moving in. And we'll watch that as well for St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat. Rain chance today, about 40%. 40% chance today in Anguilla and St. Bart's, 30% chance tomorrow. But by Tuesday, we're going to be up to 50% chance, and you see that 50% chance Tuesday into Tuesday night as well. St. Martin, St. Eustatia with that tropical disturbance sliding by. Scattered storms, as I mentioned, through Puerto Rico. We could get a few inches of rain. That could lead to flooding, impacting the power grid in a couple spots. Isolated to scattered showers possible. Some of the islands of the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, looking at anywhere from Anegada south through St. Croix, we could get some spotty showers. Others stay dry. Staying active really across the Bahamas. A little bit more in the northern Bahamas, but scattered showers as well, central and southern Bahamas. And we've had some of that rain this morning back near the Turks and Caicos. The Dominican Republic, we're staying active. Haiti, we're staying active. I am concerned about mudslides, that runoff, and those rivers. So thank you for spreading the information. It stays active, filling up the cisterns. We like that, but we need to watch out for those river crossings. And in Belize, our rain chance is going to start to bump up, and we're going to watch the Western Caribbean for any signs of development through the week ahead. 20 to 30% chance of rain. Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, a little bit higher toward Curacao, about a 40% chance tomorrow, and again on Tuesday, 40 to 50% chance through Guyana, and just isolated 20, maybe 30% chance as we work our way through Suriname. Scattered areas of storms, so some of those will be on the big side as we work our way back through Cuba, and there's that heavy rain in parts of Costa Rica and Panama that I was highlighting. 60% chance in parts of Nicaragua the next 2 days. We've been seeing some of that rain around, especially eastern sections of Honduras from overnight. Rain chance only builds as that week goes on, and a 60 to 70% chance with us Guatemala and El Salvador, watching the rivers and watching out for that flood potential. Mexico City, about a 50% chance. Next couple days, more of that rain is either just off toward the west or to the north. 40 to 50% chance though, Merida, Campeche, Cancun, Cozumel, 60% chance in northern Colombia, and a 60 to 70% chance in northern Venezuela. And those fronts kind of in between North Carolina and Bermuda right now, but some scattered showers will be a possibility, especially by Tuesday. So areas to monitor as we get into the upcoming week, watching close to home. Again, Western Caribbean, southeast U.S. and the Bahamas, and watching that new tropical disturbance that will be sliding into the Caribbean. So